just being honest. um, this event for me, hosting this event, was from the heart. And it was something that I had several people tell me, you're not ready for, you shouldn't do it. You know people's gonna talk about you. You know how them Georgetown folk is. And I was like, well, you know what? I can. I will.
Amen.
I don't care. I am who I am. And I pushed on. And I gave it everything that I had because I know that this has been my God-given purpose to build this empowered, transformational healing community because it's needed. And I know that it is needed for the fact that now the whole purpose of this is for us to be vulnerable, right, and be in a safe space. So I know that it's needed because being someone growing up, I was always the shy one. And I'm not scared to admit I was very much a follower. And growing up, I had a little bit of this person, a little bit of that person, a little bit of everything else in me, except for me. I didn't know who I was, and I knew that I didn't know who I was. I knew there were things that I wanted to try, but I knew that the people that I was really with would probably say something different. And so I just kept quiet and just followed the crowd, knowing that a lot of the times it wasn't what I wanted to do. Whether it was something good or fun or whatever else, I just wanted to be loved and appreciated and accepted. But with that, I wasn't me at all. And the first time that I actually accepted and I was like, Krystal, you can do better. You got to do better. Was when I found out I was pregnant with my oldest. And I was scared to tell people. Because even though I was 17 and I had graduated high school, I knew that people would be disappointed. Some might even be ashamed. Hell, to be honest, I got a phone call when it started going out that I was pregnant. I got a phone call from someone telling me, look, I know we are not close. We are cousins, but we're very distant and you've never really been around our side. But I just had a baby a few months ago by the person I heard that you're pregnant by. Whoa. And so we both can't have the same baby daddy. So you gotta have an abortion. And that's what I received. That was the first time I had received anything from that side of the family in a long time. But that was my first communication. So my reaction was, it's not going to happen. And it is what it is. Because this is my baby, my blessing. And so I just kept going. And I tried to do everything possible to make sure that I was the best mom to my son Malachi. Because he saved me. Because I was doing a lot of stupid stuff. You know, I was going out all the time. I was smoking weed, I was getting drunk, I was just partying it up, and I wasn't really having true fun or true joy or true anything. I was just there. That's how I felt, just there. And so, having my son, I started actually learning slowly, what do I like? I had to learn how to say no. That was the hardest thing ever for me, was to say no. Because no one knew if I knew how to say that, because I never had. But with having my son, I knew there was another life that I was responsible for. And I knew that I wanted to be that person for him, to show him all the love and everything else that I was like, dang, I need. Not realizing that we have that love sometimes, and we receive it in different ways, because we are all raised differently. We may be raised similarly, we're raised differently. And even when we're being raised, when everybody hear, oh, I was raised by, or whatever else, yes, we may live with our parents and they teach us right and wrong, and our grandparents or our other family or whoever else. But in all reality, they are just part of that village. And you can have a good village, you can have a bad village, you can have a mixed village. But a lot of what I acquired throughout the years was from family, was from TV shows. There wasn't no social media, y'all. From school, from people who I thought were best friends, from people who I thought was family. My first true heartbreak, it didn't even come from a guy or someone I was dating. My first true heartbreak came from a cousin I called my sister. And when I say that it broke my heart, y'all, it broke my heart. And it affected me for years. And I knew it affected me, because I used to even say, if I was to go on my deathbed today, don't let her come in that room. I will get up. Don't let her come into that room. And it was years later, and I seen her, and I was like, oh. And I turned around, and I left. And my husband was like, who was that? And so I filled him in on the story. And he was like, okay. And he was like, I think you need to pray on that. And I looked at him like, who are you talking to? I dragged you to church with me. And I was like, okay, you know what? I know you're right. So I did. I started praying about it. And it took a while. Probably another year probably passed. And, you know, my mom was having a get together at her house, and I heard she was going to be there. So I was like, okay, I'm going to show up. And so I go, and I pray before I leave my house. And I heard, who are you to not forgive? Look at all the things that I have forgiven you for. And I was like, you know what? Right. So when we drove up, she came to the car, and I took a deep breath, and I got the car, and I gave her a hug. And this wasn't a little a little heartbreak, y'all. I literally lost everything. Everything. I lost my job. I lost the apartment for me and my son. I had a savings that was gone because I literally had to pour everything I had into the best attorney in Georgetown to save me from going to the penitentiary based off of a lie. I almost lost a child. It was like so much to the point to where they were telling me, you might have to sign him over. And what was so crazy was, y'all, it was over a technicality that they were like, that the DA didn't want to drop it. Because by the time I made it to high school, that's when everybody was starting to really get into the computers, and we was transferring over from writing cursive to doing the computers. And so I stopped writing my name in cursive, and I was writing my name in print. Well, supposedly, since I didn't write in cursive, so therefore they couldn't prove the handwriting, they were like, oh, well, we're gonna try you. What saved me, which, I mean, it's kind of unfortunate, the situation, was she was on drugs and she was married, and her husband ended up doing the same thing they said that I did while I was being investigated for. And they called, basically, y'all, what happened was they said that I forged her signature on a child support check that was $100. I have more than that in my bank account. I don't need your $100. But what happened was they was like, okay, we're gonna forward it to you. She didn't live here. They sat there and started giving her the checks, and she was like, you know what? I didn't receive that, but I see that, you know, what happened? You try to play the same game. And they were like, well, we sent it directly to you this time. We changed your address and sent it directly to you. So then they started investigating and found out that it was really her and her husband that was cashing these checks, but saying that it was me. Because she wasn't allowed to come pick up her mail, and so I was taking her mail to be a good cousin. Because when we were growing up, we used to say we was gonna buy a house together. She was gonna get married, have her husband and kids. I was gonna have my husband and kids, and we were all gonna live in this one big house all together. I don't know what type of dream you were living on. I can't do it. But that was my first heartbreak, because that was supposed to be my sister. She was the only female that I really looked up to. That she could tell me that the sky was pink, and I'm like, oh, you sure is right. That's how close we were. So for this community, this empowered transformational community, it's about being a real sister. It doesn't mean that you have to be blood, have the same mom, have the same dad, be the same color, have the same background. It's about really, truly being there for each other. And understanding that we grew up a lot of times with different beliefs and not knowing how to embrace our vulnerabilities. Because we grow up and we believe things and we're told things and we're like, hey, just that person told me that, so it's true. But we gotta learn to embrace our vulnerabilities. And that is hard. It's difficult, I'm not even gonna lie. Like right now I have several ladies in my Break Free from Trauma program, and that's where we are in the journey, embracing vulnerabilities. I purposely made that one module several weeks long. because I know at first it's going to be some hesitation. There's going to be me doing some reaching out, saying, hey, we're meeting this day at this time. Here's the Zoom link. And then I'm going to have to call them. You get on Zoom. I'm waiting for you. Because it's hard. Because embracing vulnerabilities, you're embracing your vulnerabilities. You're not embracing what this person or that person or what whoever else done to you. You're embracing and owning your own shit. And that's the good shit, the bad shit, the horrible shit. You're getting it all. And then once you can embrace it, you can own it, and you can start moving forward from that. You can start really learning what your healthy boundaries are. You can learn to not necessarily have a wall up, but to know, you know what? This is my line. You're getting a little too close. Don't cross this. This is a boundary for me. And then knowing to tell that person, okay, and with healthy communication, of course, to respect that boundary. And yes, we may meet somebody who we may, be like, okay, you have this, I have that, we have to meet somewhere in the middle. And that's okay. But having that healthy boundary will mean a whole lot to becoming who you are and becoming authentically you. Because I'm telling you, when you become authentically you, you're not really worried about what the next person got to say or what they're thinking about you. Yeah, you're going to have some moments where you're going to be like, are you sure? Because we're human. But for the majority of it, you're going to be like, this is who I am. And my thing right now is, one of them is, I am who I am says I am. Because can't no one else tell me who I am. They can say, oh, I've known you since you were little. Or I've known you when you did this or did that. Well, guess what? Yes, I was born Krystal Jae Perry. Yes, I got married, last name turned to Sanders. But once I started embracing my own vulnerabilities and becoming who I am and being authentically me, guess what? Hi, my name is Krystal Jae.
Say it.
That is who I am. And can't nobody take that from me.
That's right.
And I own it. And that's what I want my daughter to have. That's what I want my niece to have. That's what I want your kids to have, my sons to have. All these kids running around here talking about bullying and suicide and everything else. Why does a 9-year-old consider committing suicide? What is so bad in your life to commit suicide? But you know what? It's a different world. I didn't have social media growing up. But while my daughter's in kindergarten, guess what conversation I had to have with her? We had to have the birds and bees conversation. Because some little kid decided to bring her phone to school. And at recess, she decided that she was going to show a video to some of the kids of some people having sex in a park. Kindergarten. That was a hard conversation to have. So it's a different world for them. They learn things, they see things. But one thing about it is they're not at the age to understand them. So they have a lot to be worried about. Because they don't understand what's out there in the world. They see it. They see a lot more than sometimes what we've seen. Because they have access to social media, and we can sit there and be like, well, you know what, you can't have a cell phone, I'm going to watch you, you're going to have limits and everything else. But when they step out the door and go to school, there's so much out there that their friends can have and show. And so that's why when like this time last year, that's why it was important for me to have this conference in July. I completely lost it. I had enough. I had a complete mental breakdown. Complete. All the things that was piling up, even the things I've already been to counseling for, it took one thing to happen to trigger all my other traumas to where everything fell. I went on FMLA. I stayed in my bed. I didn't shower, my poor husband, because I know I was funky. And I just didn't care. I wasn't eating. I wasn't drinking. My oldest is in the military, and he's down in South Georgia, and he was even calling me several times a day, Mom, what did you eat today? Mom, you need to go and get a drink. I'm not getting off the phone until you go get something to drink. I'm not going to my house. Well, I'm calling, and he'll call one of the other ones, go get Mom a drink. Let me see, tell her, take a sip, and make her drink it, and then I'll go home. And that's what they would do. And it wasn't until he was like, okay, I'm coming home on leave. And I was like, I'm not letting him see me like this. And so I was like, okay, enough is enough. Krystal, get your ass up. And so I went and took a shower. I called my doctor and was like, I need help. And then they were like, okay, well, we'll do this. But then after that, it was a waiting game. Every specialist that they wanted me to see had a wait list. And I was like, okay, I'm not tired. I'm not patient like that. Like, this is not who I am. And I was like, okay, God, what are we going to do? And I gave him my all. From that, really birthed Krystal Jae. Because he's the one who guided me and led me to resources. And was telling me, you know what, sometimes it's not about everything they say, you just gotta really listen. And so then I started getting better and started going down my path and listening and being obedient. And I finally accepted my calling to be a disciple of Christ. I accepted my mission to be a missionary, but not just a missionary for the Lord, but also to go ahead and fully open myself even locally. Because I've been doing what I'm doing for years. And just not in little old Georgetown because, you know, People think they know you because they seen you when you were growing up. They saw you before you really discovered who you really are. And I had to pray, y'all. I had to pray hard because I was like, okay, now, if I do this and I go all the way in, I'm going to have to be who I am. And I'm going to share my journey. And I'm not going to lie, because the girls who had already been coming to me, the women who I've already been mentoring and being their life coach, I tell my story openly. And like I tell them, the stuff is deep. But they were all lessons, and I don't regret them, even though some of them was just like, whoa. And so I was like, so I'm going to really explain to people, especially the ones who are in my life, especially my family, that this is my journey. And what I tell and what I do is my journey. And even though you may have been there during that time in my life, it's still my journey. Because just because I was standing next to you laughing or giving you advice or whatever it may be, when I go home and no one is there and I finally get a break, or when I be like, you know what, I need to go get a soda from the store, knowing dang well I didn't really want a soda from the store, I just needed a break because I was about to lose it. And so I needed to get in my car and drive. I needed to have no music on. I needed to cry. I needed to wail. I needed to get it all out. So then on that way home, me and God can really have a talk. And he can help me be in my right mind to be that mom, that wife, that sister, that best friend, that mentor, that life coach, that whatever people needed me to be. But no one knew that part. No one knew about the part of me that when I'm in the shower, they take so long because half the time I'm in there crying, deep crying, and covering my mouth because I'm trying not to let people hear me. Because I wasn't happy. I was masking it. That's why a lot of times when I go out now, I basically branded all my clothes, y'all. And a few of my shirts on the back of it says, "Are you masking your happy?" Because I was masking my happy for so many years. And no one knew. No one. So just because I was there and you were in my life, or you seen me, no one knew what I was going through. Nobody. Because I was supposed to be the strong one. But guess what? Strong ones need someone too. We need someone to hold our hands and to give us a hug, to be our mentor, to be our life coach, someone who we can be completely transparent to and be vulnerable to and just be like, you know what, this is me, this is what I'm going through, this is how I'm feeling. And yes, I'm feeling ways sometimes that why I don't even be like, I'll be asking myself, why do you feel this way? And then I have to sit back and be like, okay, what did I do today? And I'll pull out a little journal and I'll literally sit there and I'll start writing. I'm like, I don't know why I'm writing you, but this is what I'm feeling. I don't know why. And then like 10 pages later, I'm like, whoa. And then I go back and I read and I'm like, ooh, Krystal, you did all of this to yourself? Because a lot of times, just the little things that we tell ourselves, we're setting ourselves up for failure. We're setting ourselves up for fear. And what comes on with fear is that fight and flight response that is trying to, keep us alive and make sure we survive, and then we start living in survival mode, and it just keeps repeating. Instead of us taking time to sit there and pour the positivity in ourselves, to pour positivities into our neighbors, into our friends. Because even the things that we post on social media, even if you don't get a like, somebody's reading it. Just because you don't get a share, somebody's seeing it. So if you're constantly having negativity on your page, you're not only feeding that to yourself, we're feeding it to everyone else. We're bringing that home to our kids, and they have enough of that negativity. So for me, it was important to build a sister circle, not just for me, but for all of us. It was time to have that ripple effect. Because when we reach out and we help someone else, they're going to reach out and help somebody else. And it's going to keep going. So why have that be a ripple of negativity when it can be positivity, encouragement, empowerment, like true love, true joy? So that's why when it came to today, it was important to have the right speakers, to have people who understood that it was mind, body, and soul. Because when our mind is affected, our body's affected. And I know that for a fact. I've always had migraines since I hit puberty. But when I really started learning stress and going through stress, my migraines turned into hemiplegic migraines, which basically mimics a stroke. So every time I would have that, I would have to go to the hospital. I would still tell them, I have paper that says I have hemiplegic migraines, but they would still run the stroke protocol. I'm still staying the night. But what was even worse, y'all, was it took forever for me to even get that diagnosis. Because I had a doctor tell me that I was a woman, basically being extra. And then you can tell you have certain ones who judge you because, the color of your skin. Or be like, you're just, you're exaggerating or you're faking and everything else. Why am I faking this? I literally just had my baby. Why am I going to fake this? Why? Sometimes I couldn't even see. I would just see shadows of people, and I would know who people were by their voice. And it wasn't until one day my mom was like, you know what, I'm going with you. And she had to be my advocate to tell people, look, this is what really happens. And even then they were like, okay, well, we'll get you into a specialist. Well, guess what? I had to wait a long time again. In between that, here I go in the hospital again. And I was finally blessed with this one neurologist, and he was like, you know what? I'm not letting you leave this hospital until I find out what's wrong with you. He finally found somebody who was in the medical field that cared, who was truly there to have empathy and compassion. And he's the one that figured out, got me on the right medications. But I still were having them on a regular basis. It wasn't until I really started praying and learning who I was and bringing positivity into my life and telling myself, looking in the mirror and saying, Krystal, I love who you are. Even though sometimes I didn't feel like that, I'm going to still say it to myself like I believe it. Because our mind is going to believe what we tell it to believe. And I had to feed those affirmations to myself. to where I could own it, to where I can keep going and I can be leading down the right path. I had to go and make sure that I was really praying and opening myself up to God and being willing to hear Him. Because there was a point in time where I would pray and I would just pray. I was praying to pray. I wasn't praying to get no answers or anything else like that. But I was ready to be obedient. And I was ready to listen, to learn, to be the best that I could be, so that I can help others and lead others and guide others. Because sometimes just what we do and how we present ourselves, that's all people need. I can't tell you how many times that I've sat there and went somewhere and someone's like, it's something about your aura. And I'm like, I don't know what's going on. I'm like, I don't know. You know? But I thank God for it every time. Because I know that He helped me get there. And I knew me learning all the things that I had to learn got me there. And so now I'm trying to help others reach their transformation to where they can say, I am who I am, says I am. I want all of us to know and to believe that we have something, this inner power, this mind, body, soul connection that is greater than any obstacle that gets in our way. And sometimes we may need a hand, and that's the point of this sister circle, to be like, you know what, I got you. I can sit here and be like, you know what, my husband, he cheated on me. Oh, I got into it with my sister. Oh, my son, he just don't understand. Oh, I just feel down and I just don't want to do it today. And I want someone to be like, you know what, I got you. So sisters, I got you.
We got you too.
So with that being said, I just want y'all to know this is not the first, this is not the last. Because y'all are my sisters. I am y'all's sisters. I got y'all. And so what I'm doing is we are going to be having different events coming up. And so some are going to be in person, some are going to be virtual, because I can't forget about my virtual folks that I have. And with that, we're just going to grow and we're going to love and we're going to learn joy and we're going to embrace our authentic selves and we're going to learn healthy boundaries and we're just going to keep going. And then we're going to share this with all the ones, younger and older. Because just because someone's older than us doesn't mean that they don't need us to be like, I got you. So, with that, there's also the opportunity to, I can't remember off the top of my head, February or March, we're going to also do a women's retreat. And we're going to be on the beach. Because that's one, I'm not even going to be, I'm going to be honest, that's my happy place. Put me on the beach, let me meditate where the water just barely hit me and I'm happy and don't bother me. Last time we went, my son's Amir, he came down, he was sitting next to me and I knew I had been there for a while. And he was like, Mom, like I had really got into the meditating, y'all. I was down there and I was meditating and next thing I know, like I just started moving and stretching and I was doing all kinds of yoga poses and everything else. All of my eyes closed, y'all, just in my own zone. I'm in my bathing suit. So I was like, whatever. And he comes, he goes, Mom, everybody can see your big butt. And so I ignore him. And he was like, Mom, everybody can see your big butt. And I ignored him again. He was like, Mom, and he hit me that time. And I was like, what, Zamir? Don't you see I'm in my moment? And he was like, everybody can see your big butt. That's only for Dad to see. And I couldn't do nothing but laugh. And then here comes my cousin Sandra, boy, come on. And she dragged him off, and I just went back to my meditating. Leave me alone, child. This is my happy place. So why wouldn't I share that with y'all? With anyone? Because I'm telling you, I will make the 6-hour drive to Puerto Rico. No, South Padre, my bad, South Padre. I would get up at 3 o'clock in the morning, 2 o'clock in the morning, drive down there, spend the day, and drive the thing back. Because that's my happy place, especially if I'm having the hardest time ever, and I just really need to get that real zen. And I need to listen, I need to open up, and I need to just be really vulnerable. I tried to bring back videos and everything else of the beach and the sounds and everything. It don't work. It don't work as good as just being there. So I want to bring my sisters along with me to go experience that. Another thing I love is sound baths. Because that's another zen place that you can just put you to be. Last one I went to, they were like, okay, just get comfortable. Here I am. I'm taking my shoes off. See, I got my shoes off already, y'all. I'll wear my heels for probably 5 minutes. But I took my shoes off, I laid down, they was like, get comfortable. I was like, y'all should on me? Yeah, okay. So then there was this little stool, I laid on the floor, put my legs on that stool, and I just did like this, and they started doing their sound bath, and I got to meditate, and I didn't want to stop. And they're like, you know what you're doing. Oh, leave me alone, let me do what I do. Because why not get that inner peace? Because that's one thing about when you embrace your authentic self, there's this inner peace in you that you never knew existed. There's this joy that you want to share with everybody. And so I'm just saying, just look forward to that. Because I'm going to be reaching out. I'm like, look, this is where we're going. These are the dates we're going. This is how much it's going to cost. But it's an experience. This community, this sister circle, is about experience, transformation, the I got yous, the I love yous, the you're not alone. Because you can be in the same room with a whole bunch of people and still be like, I'm alone. But you're not alone. So with these experiences that we're going to be having, everybody also has the opportunity to join a membership. It's a monthly membership. And with that, you won't be coming out of pocket full price for all these things that it costs to put these on. Because I know one-to-ones, before it gets too cold in the fall, we're going to go through and we're going to go to this ranch and we're going to go horseback riding. I'm a country girl, y'all like horseback riding. And we have other experiences on bringing in different experts who can show us and teach us how to tap into different things. Because I can sit there and say, I know about this and I know about that, but I'm not the expert in it. So if I know experts, I'm going to bring those experts in to teach us all, to help us all get to the next level, to show us all which path that we can take. Give us options. So everyone has the opportunity today to enroll in the membership. If y'all want to, just hit me up. I'm gonna tell y'all like I tell all my clients. I'm not going to beg nobody to do anything. I'm not going to sit there and sell somebody into doing something. Because when it comes to being your best authentic self, when it comes to embracing who you truly are, it doesn't work unless you're all in. And I can't make that decision for you. The person next to you can't make that decision for you. Your best friend that you go call can't make that decision for you. But what we can do is put the opportunity out there. Because I know one for one, Amber, I'm supposed to come to your house. When's the next meeting?
So I'm not for sure yet, but it should be coming up in the next week or so.
So I'll be there.
Okay.
I'm telling you, I need her to feed me. I need that. I need that sister. Because even though I was raised in the church and I'm a Christian and I'm a disciple, there's still a lot I need to learn. And just because I know some things, that doesn't mean that Amber can't tell me some things, or any of the ladies. And then there's some things I may know. But you know when you connect with someone, you know who's passionate, you know who's real. And it's about moving forward and being that sister. Have this sister circle, embrace this sister circle. So what I'm going to do is, I'm going to show up at Amber's. And then, I'm going to, Miss Galipa's going to get a call too, because she sold me on the phone call when she was talking about what she had coming up. Because she sold me, because I was telling her, I was like, hey, look, I'm at the biggest I've ever been. I don't like it, and I just want to just eat healthier. And I was like, but I don't want no keto. I don't want none of the other stuff. And she was like, no. She was like, I just tell my clients we're going to start easy. What kind of bread do you get? Okay, we'll just get this bread, and we'll just work our way. Okay, I can do that. I can do that. Don't tell me I can't have no meat, because I'm not going to do that. I love my meat, especially my steak. Well done, please.
Gratified.
Hint, hint. So I just want to say to everyone, again, thank y'all for coming out. I hope everybody got their gift bags. And if you haven't, make sure you get one. And then there's supposed to be some brochures, but I don't know where they were. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to send out an email to everybody that I have their emails for. If I don't have your email, leave me your email. And what we're going to do is we have some big gifts that we supposed to be giving away today. And all you have to do is fill out a survey to get it. Oh, she said she found some. So on there, on the brochures, if y'all go ahead before y'all leave, there is a QR code and there's also a link to it. Fill that out, and we are going to do a giveaway, because as y'all are filling it out, as y'all do it comes in and it shows us everybody with it. So we're going to have somebody, matter of fact, I'm just going to pick a number right now. I'm going to say, I don't know, 16, that's what's clear. Remember 16 that comes in, you got a gift coming to you. It's going to be the basket with all its goodies, and there's coupons and gift vouchers and everything else in that. But what also is included in that is you also get 2 free detailings as well. And I think also in there is a 3-month free membership to the community circle. There is some other free stuff. I was kind of jealous, y'all.
It shows everything.
Okay, so once you get there, it should be something that says survey.
Empower Your Inner Goddess survey.
Yes, the Empower Your Inner Goddess survey.
Oh. Gotta read.
Very important.
And then, let's see. Whoever's number 5 will get something. And Zakiah, give me a number.
12.
And number 12. So 5, 12, and 16 all have things coming to them. And then back there, Miss Christina's waving at me. We have I can't think of the name of it. It's bad because it's my book.
Coloring book. The Empowerment
Yeah.
Coloring book.
It's an empowerment coloring book for women. And it's not just a regular coloring book. It has pages for women, but it also has affirmations and empowerment statements. And then everybody don't forget to download your She Blooms affirmation e-journal. When people hear journal, they're like, oh, I journal all the time, I got a journal. It's not the same journal. This is a affirmation journal. It has affirmations, it has check-in points, so that way you don't even have to be like, dang, what am I going to write? Guess what? It's already asking you questions. And then you can go back to it and look at it. And then there is the
Empowered Women and Inspired Vision book written by Oh, wow.
So I wrote that book, and that book is actually it tells bits and pieces of my story and what I did and how, and how to kind of get out the funk and get over different things that you go through in life. And it's actually something that is not for just us women. My daughter. So one thing that I did with my 2 kids that are at home, Zamir and Zakiah, I tell them all the time, you read an educational book, then I'll give you money. But then if you give me a book report on that book, you get bonus money. So especially when they want something, they really get to reading. And Zakiah came back one day and she was like, here, Mom. And so I'm like, okay. And I'm reading her thing, and I'm like, wait a minute, this is my book. And she actually, at 11 years old, learned some things as well from that book. So even if you have a teenager or a young adult or a middle schooler, they can learn from it too. It's about that ripple effect. Let's see what's coming in. And then y'all are free to move around, mingle, get the last of there's still some desserts left, some food before they pack it all up. And then after I give away these goodies, we can all go home. It's been a long night, but it's been a good night.
That's been a good
Don't
night.
forget to